Juana Barraza Samperio, also known as the Mataviejitas or the Dama del Silencio, is a Mexican serial killer who terrorized the elderly in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Her chilling story has captivated the attention of true crime enthusiasts around the world. Today, we delve into the case of Juana Barraza and explore the mind of a notorious killer. Juana Barraza Samperio was born on December 27, 1957, in Epoyucan, Hidalgo, Mexico. Her troubled upbringing and history of abuse would go on to shape her future as one of Mexico's most infamous serial killers. As a young girl, Juana was subjected to physical and sexual abuse by her alcoholic mother and various male partners. The trauma she endured during her formative years left a lasting impact on her psychological well-being. Juana's troubled upbringing led her down a dark path, and she turned to a life of crime at an early age. She became involved in robbery and other petty offenses, landing her in and out of the Mexican criminal justice system. However, it wasn't until Juana discovered her talent for wrestling that her life took a drastic turn. She entered the world of lucha libre, Mexican professional wrestling, where she became known as La Dama del Silencio, the Lady of Silence. Juana's wrestling career provided her with a sense of purpose and gave her an outlet for her pent-up anger and aggression. But beneath her public persona as a fierce and powerful athlete, a darker side was lurking. In the late 1990s, a series of murders targeting elderly women shocked the nation. The victims, often found strangled in their own homes, bore the hallmarks of a serial killer. It wasn't until 2003 that Juana Barraza's reign of terror would come to an end. Following a tip from a neighbor, police arrested her on suspicion of the murders. The evidence against her was overwhelming, and she was subsequently charged with multiple counts of murder and robbery. The trial of Juana Barraza captivated the Mexican public, who were both disturbed and fascinated by the gruesome details of her crimes. The media dubbed her La Mataviejitas, the little old lady killer, an epithet that has since become synonymous with her name. During the trial, Juana Barraza maintained her innocence and even claimed that she herself had been a victim of abuse. However, the sheer volume of evidence against her, including eyewitness testimonies and DNA matches, left little doubt of her guilt. In 2008, Juana Barraza was convicted of the murders of 16 elderly women and sentenced to 759 years in prison. Her case remains one of the most high-profile and shocking in the history of Mexican criminology. The case of Juana Barraza Samperio serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can reside within seemingly ordinary individuals. Her crimes have left a lasting impact on the collective consciousness of the Mexican people, who continue to grapple with the horrors of her actions. As we delve deeper into the case of Juana Barraza, we seek to understand the motivations behind her heinous acts and shed light on the complex web of circumstances that contributed to her transformation into a serial killer. Join us as we explore the twisted mind of Juana Barraza Samperio and attempt to dissect the factors that led to her becoming one of Mexico's most notorious killers. As the investigation into Juana Barraza's crimes unfolded, law enforcement discovered a troubling pattern. Many of the victims shared similar characteristics. They were elderly, lived alone, and were vulnerable to attacks. This modus operandi led investigators to believe that Juana specifically targeted elderly women for her heinous acts. The chilling details of Juana's murders emerged during the trial, painting a gruesome picture of her twisted methods. She would gain the trust of her victims by posing as a government official or a nurse, gaining access to their homes under false pretenses. Once inside, she would strangle them with a stethoscope, leaving no room for escape. The true extent of Juana Barraza's violence became apparent as investigators uncovered more evidence. In addition to the 16 murders she was convicted of, it is believed that Juana may have been responsible for many more unreported killings. Some estimates put the total number of her victims as high as 46. The sheer brutality of Juana's crimes shook Mexican society to its core. The sense of security that the elderly once felt in their own homes was shattered, leaving a wake of fear and mistrust. Communities rallied together, urging authorities to take action and protect their most vulnerable members. The trial of Juana Barraza garnered intense media coverage, with the courtroom packed with journalists and spectators eager to witness the proceedings. The nation was captivated by the revelations and the chance to glimpse into the mind of a serial killer. Throughout the trial, Juana maintained a stoic and seemingly unremorseful demeanor. She offered no meaningful explanations or apologies for her crimes, leaving the families of the victims to grapple with the pain and loss they had endured. The psychological evaluation of Juana Barraza painted a complex portrait of a deeply damaged individual. Experts noted the presence of antisocial personality traits, suggesting a lack of empathy and remorse. This diagnosis provided further insight into the dark psyche of a serial killer. Juana's upbringing and history of abuse were cited as potential factors contributing to the development of her violent tendencies. The cycle of violence that she experienced as a child may have shaped her path, leading her down a dark road of destruction. The impact of Juana's crimes extended far beyond the courtroom and the immediate victims. The media coverage and public fascination with her story brought attention to the larger issue of violence against the elderly in Mexico. It sparked conversations about societal neglect and the need for better support systems for the elderly population. In response to the Mataviejitas case, Mexico implemented reforms to improve the safety and well-being of elderly citizens. The government enacted measures to increase awareness of elder abuse and establish support networks to provide assistance to those in need. The legacy of Juana Barraza and her reign of terror continues to haunt Mexico to this day. Her case serves as a reminder of the capacity for evil that exists within individuals and the importance of vigilance in protecting vulnerable members of society. While Juana Barraza remains behind bars, her story serves as a cautionary tale of the depths to which human depravity can sink. It is a chilling reminder that monsters can lurk in the most unexpected places, and that evil knows no boundaries. As we reflect on the case of Juana Barraza Samperio, it is essential to remember the victims whose lives were tragically cut short by her actions. Their names and faces should not be forgotten, as they are the ones who truly deserve our attention and remembrance. The case of Juana Barraza forces us to confront the darkness that exists within our society and to strive for justice and compassion. It reminds us of the importance of supporting and protecting the vulnerable, ensuring that tragedies like these are not repeated. As we conclude this exploration of the case of Juana Barraza Samperio, let us not only remember the horror and pain inflicted but also consider how we can work together to create a safer and more compassionate world.